Hi, Ian.
Hi, Maya.
How are you?
All right, thank you. You?
Not too bad, thank you. Have we met before?
I haven't been on one of these at all. No, it
No.
always clashed with something else, as I said to Sue. I think I came to the very first one, but that was all. And then after that, it sort of clashed. And this is one that suits me tonight. I mean,
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, I think it's been the same for a lot of people, and obviously there's so many things going on and so
yep.
many Zooms to attend. So no, I totally understand.
Yeah.
But so are you kind of you know who I am from the first meeting then, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, sadly Sue can't make Thursday evenings either. So
Yeah. Right.
yeah, but it's really good to be able to get a proper chat with you because I've been really interested in hearing more about the day centres and what you guys are doing and planning. Hopefully, when you can
Yeah.
start to
Yeah.
think about things again.
Yeah.
There's a few other people that have signed up for this evening. I think it's going
Okay.
to be a
Yep.
small group, about 3 or 4, which is quite nice because it means that you can actually have more of a chat.
Yeah,
If it's
that's
a
fine. Yeah.
big group, then it gets a bit rowdy.
Yeah, it does. Well, the trouble with Zoom is people cutting in on one another and and not really sort of paying much attention to who's speaking or anything like that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I'm still, even a year on, still getting used to the communicating over Zoom. I just find it a little bit, yeah, it's a bit
Well,
strange.
yeah, it's very impersonal, but I think it's great from my point of view because anytime I was going to meetings or things like that over at Haddington or Trent or whatever it was a half an hour there and half an hour back. There's a lot wasted out of my day for probably a half hour or an hour meeting. So I quite like the Zoom, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
I can still sit in my office
it's
and
handy for
do things.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it has its
100.
advantages, but there are great disadvantages because you can't see people's actual expressions and body language and things like that, which in critical meetings is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, when you kind of when people are going to be speaking, and
Yeah,
it flows a lot better in real
it
life.
does. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we do what we can at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Not
we can see a little bit of light at the end. So far, it's beginning to show a little bit. Hopefully, we get
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I'm just hoping that it kind of goes to plan, as they're hoping,
Yeah.
without this third wave interrupting things.
Well, I mean, it's there in Europe, so I certainly just totally disagree with foreign travel and things like that. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm affected by it because my son and two grandchildren and daughter-in-law stay in Switzerland, and I was
Oh
very
well.
lucky. Last year, I managed to get across for 1 week in July when there was that sort of just transitional period between
Yeah.
things, and I got across to see them for a week, which was fine. You know,
Yeah. Oh, that's so difficult though when you do have family
yeah.
connections. I mean, I can completely, I don't think that holidays are a necessity.
No,
So I
no.
think that, not having that luxury to travel abroad for those reasons, it's fair
Well, I
enough to
think,
wait another couple of
yeah,
years. But if you've got
yeah,
family, it's a different story.
yeah. That's the difficult part when there's family all spread all over the world. But I mean, I think we should be concentrating on staycations,
Yeah.
this year and support our own economy and our own tourism industry. Not going and taking our money abroad.
Absolutely. And there's so many amazing places as well
Oh
in,
yeah,
in
yeah,
Scotland and in the UK. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. How are they doing in Switzerland? How are things
They they
there?
have they've not really any major problems. I mean, my all through it from last year right through to now. I mean, they've been able to meet other people indoors. Only the only thing that just in 3 or 4 weeks ago, my son said, "Oh, we've been stopped singing in the church." I went, "What? We were stopped singing in the church right from the very start." So, you know, but they've got all the rest of the social distancing and all that things. But no, I mean, the children have been going to school and that they haven't really had a major lockdown. But I mean, I think the number of cases has been a lot lower than ours anyway.
Yeah, they've just managed to handle it, manage it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, that's good, I guess. And the singing thing, that's surprising. It's funny how different places have prioritized different things, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it just, you know, people, I think criticism in the very early days is all very well, but we didn't know what it was and how it was going to affect people. And people who had, I mean, I was listening to a program just which I had pre-recorded on about sort of all the different countries all over the world and how it hadn't affected them to the same degree, but they had already had pandemics before and had the system all set up. We had never had that, you know, and we were trying to learn from it. You know, and I was speaking to somebody who had just come back from one of the West African countries, and I sort of asked the question, you know, was there COVID there? No COVID. It's too hot, too dusty. It won't linger any length of time. That was his answer to it. And they had nothing, you know, yet South Africa's got quite a lot because of the townships and everything else.
Yeah, it's interesting. No, and that's interesting to hear about places already being set up for the situation as well, because I mean, of course, for us, it just seems to be that the communities have done everything, and you know, and obviously the services kind of trying to catch up with what's not been in place. But I mean, that's what. Yeah, I think that's the same probably all around the world, as the communities have just kind of pulled together. For sure.
Well, I mean, that came out in the part of South Africa, and somebody going out into the townships to sort of, you know, help them. It was in the south, very south of India. They had quite a lot of what they would call health workers working out in the field, and they were going in and checking people and getting their messages and all the things. And they actually worked very well. And it actually was a communist part of the country, which you wouldn't expect it to be, you know, so well organized, but it was well organized. So that was quite unusual to see that. We had to do it with the sort of local communities to do the support systems and everything else.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Definitely. I'm just thinking it might just be, oh, there's Jackie here. I was going to say it might just be us two having a little chat. That's Jackie Bell. I don't know if you'll know her.
Jackie from Dunbar. Yeah, I know Jackie. Yeah. She's connected with the day centre as well.
Yeah. Hi, Jackie. How are you doing?
Well, just fed up.
One of those days or one of those weeks, or?
No, it just when community councils express a concern about something and the local councillors don't take it up.
Right.
So things go through on planning. Community councillors express concern to the planners, and the only people who see the report are 3 councillors, and they don't tell the community councillors it's there and it's gone through.
That's really frustrating. I mean, I don't know much about the ins and outs of community councils, etc., but I can imagine that sort of thing happens quite a lot.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's the whole implications for wider planning applications if somebody gets permission to build something in their garden.
Right. Do you know Ian said that he know?
Yeah.
You know each
and
other?
I know Anne as well. Yeah.
Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Hi, Anne.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Me, I'm grand, thank you. Sorry, I'm late.
That's all right.
I came in using the email that you sent, but my email was doing really weird things, so it took me a while to link in.
No worries. I think that's, well, either my link or just Zoom in general. Zoom seems to be doing funny things.
It's this really weird thing. The email, I was doing some emails, and when I clicked on yours, it opened the one above. And when I clicked on, and that happened with every email. So anyway, I closed it down and just came in again, and it worked.
Okay, good. You're here. So that's good. So you all know each other then?
Yes, I've
That
met
Yep.
Ian. You do the day centre, don't you?
That's right. Yes, Anne. Yeah.
And you know Roseanne Ainsley.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
She's on
Very
the
well.
Anne, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't seen her for a long, long time.
No, she doesn't really want people to know who she is.
All right.
Oh God, I shouldn't even have said that. She's not around at the moment.
All right. Yeah.
She's with her son.
Right.
Right.
Good.
Since last lockdown.
So,
She's not
all
been able to
right.
get back,
She managed to escape there. Good for her.
but she doesn't really want to know that. I shouldn't be saying this. She doesn't want people to know that she's not in her house.
No, no, no.
If you know what I mean.
Well, I think from the sign-ups, Roseanne Woods from Trinent said that she might come along, but she might just pop in whenever she can. So, Ian, you said you came to the first meeting, and I know Jacqueline and Anne, you came to the most recent evening meeting, but I don't know what you guys feel like talking about today. I've got a bit of an update if you want it from where we're at with things with the project. And then, I mean, I'd be really interested to hear from all of you about what you've been up to or.
Yeah, I certainly would like an update. I would like to know the sort of general feelings of how it's developing, not just an update from the last meeting, but generally how it's developing. And I know roughly what the project was about, but I don't know any of the detail of it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, we've started obviously at the first meeting was in January, and since then it's been sort of a series of conversations like this one with different people around East Lothian, and the sort of aim from that was just to let people kind of chat about things that they think are important and that they might want to see happening. And of course, we would love to be able to. There's been a whole load of things, themes and ideas that have come out of that. And myself and Sue sort of kind of had sat down the other week and thought, right, how can we sort of move forward with this? And I think coming into April, we'd always sort of seen a bit of a transition from kind of talking and gathering ideas to sort of putting things into action. So we have kind of honed in on a few things that we thought would be quite important to look at, and of course, just due to time and capacity, we can't do everything, unfortunately. So we're also Sue has a lot of ongoing work, which I'm sure you all know about, with meeting centres and things like that. That's obviously Dementia Friendly East Lothian, that's running alongside what we're doing with Celebrating Communities. So we just wanted to use this space to sort of enhance that work, to support projects and ideas that are coming out of communities. And a few of those things I can update you on. So we've got singing was a big thing. I'm sure everybody agrees. The lack of has been disappointing for people. So we've got a project that started in North Berwick specifically, but that's only due to the funding coming from the North Berwick Trust. But most of it is online, so we're disseminating that East Lothian wide at the moment. So the first production, or however you want to see it, variety show, has been put together and is now on YouTube. So we're at the moment in the process of sharing that and the care homes. And I think, Ian, as far as I know, you've been contacted as well by Claire. So it's Claire that's running the project, giving out song sheets and links to the video to everybody to be able to watch and sing along. So that's happening currently. That project's off the ground.
Can I just come in here, Mayor? But I haven't heard anything about it. I know there was something in the background, unless it's been sent direct to the day centre. I'm not aware of it.
It might have done, but I'll let Claire know. We are, as I say, we're kind of in the process now of trying to get the word out to everybody, share it broadly and widely. So it'll be, I'll let Claire know that you've not heard yet. But I think she did send it direct to the day centre.
Yeah, because I think it would be quite a good thing for the day centres, so that this could be sort of downloaded into the day centres when we start to operate, and even to download to tablets that we have for members out in the field. And the same went for sort of, you know, the theatre situation as well, where the theatres were involved and doing that. And I thought that would be a very good thing for the day centres, so they could be streamed and put onto the screens in the day centres for the people as well.
Absolutely. Is that the Capitol Theatres?
Yeah,
yeah. They've got some brilliant things happening as well. So yeah, absolutely. That's sort of what we were wanting to do, is just make sure that it's, you know, available to everybody, and not just obviously care homes and day centres, but anybody wants it. So we're getting the word out with that. It's a bit of a slow launch, but it's going to be monthly. So next month in April, we've got Elvis. So we've got an Elvis performance on the go. And then I think in May, there's going to be a VE Day special. So building up a bit of a program. And then we're really hoping that, you know, come July, August, we might be able to do 1 or 2 outdoor performances. We'll see how things go. So that's a really exciting project that's kind of now running, that we're supporting. Digital Buddies is another one. So we've linked up with the Dunbar Grammar School and Outside of the Box, who are doing a Digital Buddies project in the Borders, and they're supporting us. We're working together with Dunbar Grammar School. I know they've obviously, I don't know if everybody's aware, but Dunbar Grammar School have got a long-standing relationship with a lot of the older friends in Dunbar, and they've done lots of food projects before with the older and younger diners, and obviously they've lost contact. So we're giving out, I think it's 10 iPads to 10 older friends, and the school children, the pupils, are going to be their digital buddies to help them with digital support. And that's going to be for around 6 months. But of course, they've got strong relationships in place there anyway. So it's just going to be an addition to the friendships that are already there, which is really lovely. So we're working on that at the moment as well. And then another strand that's come out of these conversations is walking. So we've been really interested to see what we can do with walking in East Lothian, which is a massive kind of bubble of activity, and it's kind of working out how we can support and help that area without duplicating on work. And there's a lot of obviously service providers and people, you know, paid specifically to do a lot of work around walking in East Lothian already. So our focus is going to be just making sure that, you know, walks are dementia inclusive, any signage is dementia inclusive, and just really trying to work with a lot of these organisations to encourage dementia awareness and inclusivity with walking and walking groups. So those are the 3 main things at the moment that we're, because I should also mention the Celebrating Communities project is only funded until July, the end of July. So, you know, we've got a bit of a short time frame. So we really wanted to hone in and make sure that we could, you know, make an impact in some areas. But that's not to say that there's no room for anything else that people are interested in. And we're very, very keen to support other projects or work that other people are doing outside of that. So that it's still open. And we're also building on our relationships and links with all of the national partners that we are connected to. So that includes people like the Capitol Theatre and the Seabird Centre. And there's a Tim from SuperSum has a brilliant project called the Memory Jar Project, which actually, Ian, I don't know if the Day Centre might be interested in, but it's a lovely project using jam jars, and it's all very COVID friendly, COVID safe. It's got little cards, prompt cards for memories and different kind of thoughts, and they get collected and then they get packaged up in a little jam jar from people, and then they get passed on to share memories. And if you're interested, then we can kind of have a chat about that, because he's really keen to try. At the moment, it's Kerry Connections in Kerrymuir. They're running it in the meeting centre there, and it's been really successful. And he's keen to try it out somewhere in East Lothian. So that's a really nice project. That's kind of, there's possibility there for that to get off the ground as well. So yeah, there's things happening. We, with the national partners as well, of course, they're the experts and they've got a whole program of amazing things. So we're just, there's obviously the digital barriers. They're doing a lot of things mainly digitally for obvious reasons. So at the moment, we're also trying to find out, is there any groups or care homes or day centres that would like to be more digitally connected that aren't, and can we help with that? So that's one of our aims as well.
I think that's, you've hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, we find in North Berwick, we got some tablets and one or two people have been using them. We downloaded some of the performers that played music to the members when they came to the day centre, and we downloaded that onto the tablets and then passed it around some of the members. But a big problem we run into, of course, was a lot of people couldn't operate the tablet. Some of them could, but some of them couldn't, and trying to do a buddy system was not easy when people were at home rather than in the centre. And we were certainly looking to be more digitally inclusive when we opened up again, so that we could actually, tutor people in the centre itself as a group, so that we could manage to do that. I think we've got half a dozen tablets that we use just now, and we find it's a good thing. But I think in the end of the day, we did a survey, and probably somewhere around about 90% of our members are not digitally aware. And that's a big problem. And I think, I deal with all the centres, so, that's right across the board. That's not just to our centre alone in North Berwick, it's all centres. It is a big problem for that generation. That'll change as the new generation or the new older generation will come forward. But in the meantime, we do have a problem as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd agree with that, Ian, that I was at a conference at the weekend and speaking on digital inclusion across age groups. And it's one thing to give people a device, but if you cannot actually show the person in their home, sit down with them, what to do with that particular device, it loses value, because it goes in the box if they don't know what to do with it. And even if you've got kids who've been given a tablet, for example, Dunbar Community Council has given out tablets. If the parents don't know what to do, or in the case of older people, if the children don't know what to do with it, what's the point? It's needing somebody to sit down there and show you, this is how it works on this device in the house, and that's what we're not allowed to do.
We can definitely help with that. The project that Outside the Box are running, it is based on a buddy system, and a lot of them are the buddies are in a bubble with the person they're helping. So that does make it easier, because they are able to be there physically with the person showing them. But we have also spoken to a few projects that are remote, so they have a buddy system, but it's all done over the telephone. And I mean, I was quite skeptical about that, but they said it's, you know, it's been great success, and a lot of people are very receptive to that. So there's definitely things that we can do, and yeah, there's definitely support there. And there's also, I mean, if it was people like yourself that was wanting to do the sort of the mentoring or the helping, there's a lot of kind of quite easy to access training, like digital champion training and things like that are about 2 hours long, and it just kind of gives somebody the confidence to be able to give that support as well. So that's definitely something that we can help with.
Yeah, but you know, it's when you know, say somebody known to us, known to Ian, who has been given a tablet, and it's the confidence to actually sit down, and you can't go into the house and sit down with this tablet and doing things with them because you're not
Yeah.
allowed to do it.
I mean, a lot of the, if people are, I mean, I don't know who it is that's giving people the tablets, but they should be giving it alongside support and alongside help. I mean, I don't know who it is, like I say, but there's also, you know, resources printed out, very kind of pictorial sheets or videos, but videos are harder to access if you can't get onto the device. But yeah, I mean, we were looking at this back at the start of the lockdown with the Rotary and the Community Council. We were kind of distributing some tablets, and it did seem to have success. Some of them, for sure, some of them have been handing the tablets back because they've just not been using them. So there's definitely, you know, it's not 100% success rate, and there's definitely still barriers, but I think there's been a lot of progress.
I think you're right. I mean, a lot of the things that the tablets to the day centre came through the resilience group, and that's where they came from after the care homes were satisfied. But again, the problem you also have is do you have a link to the internet? That's the big problem.
Yeah.
So you know, you can get people to use these things, but if they have no internet connection, then it's just what's on the tablet. That's all they've got. And you're really restricted that they can't Skype, they can't speak to their friends or anything like that. So it needs to be more than that. And we actually tried through, as an organisation in Edinburgh that does a lot of that, and we're supplying tablets and we're giving tuition on it, and they turned us down because they were inundated
Right.
with the amount of people wanting to get that. So we weren't successful in that.
Okay.
When are the dates?
Certainly in Dunbar that we gave people tablets, and for the school kids we got dongles as well. But the other issue is the actual reliability of broadband. If you're in an area with poor broadband, and as well, you know, even if you've got a device, it's for some things you need to have a printer. So if you haven't got space for a printer, you know, real big, you know, it's the device itself is not the whole thing. You know, it's
I think though you can,
and the other hardware.
my printer hasn't worked for 6 months, and the one I got won't work either. So I think there probably is a place for just having the device, but the issue really is about training people to use it. So I was wondering, when are the day centres likely to open again?
Well, I mean, I would suggest it's probably going to be sometime May into June.
Right. Yeah.
Some will open slightly earlier, maybe. We've set a ruling in that all the members and all the staff have to have at least both their vaccinations and a period of immunity to build up their immunity. So we're reducing the risk as low as we can make it, because the last thing we want is for COVID to be spread around our members.
Yeah.
You know, we're managing to support the members at home at the present moment, and we're taking those that are in greatest need with carers and everything else out in our bus. We're lucky we've got a bus, but Gullin has a bus as well. and taken them out. And that is one of the bonuses we've been able to do, and taken these people who are in real need, and are at the most severe. But again, the problem when you start opening the centres is, where do you differentiate? I just came off a webinar yesterday about opening up daycare services, and this was in England, and there were some examples of it, and some examples of them having opened up and then had to close down again, because the risk was too high. But the other thing that you get is quite a number of people will not be comfortable in coming back into a situation in the centre, and we've got to get over that, and to encourage people to come back and to do normal things again. And for a good long time, we'll be working both in the centre, because the number of places you have in a centre will be greatly reduced, and working out in the field at the same time. That is definitely going to happen, possibly over the summer. I don't know, but that's where we are.
It's just, I think the lockdown has shown what a vital service the day centres are, because they're terribly missed. And I do know that I do know one or two dementia carers who've had the person they care for go out in the bus, and they've just praised that service highly, because it's made such a difference to the person with dementia and the carer. It's an enormous difference. But I think what we realised was the day centres they're invaluable. I knew they were really important, and my husband was never able to use the day centre, but they're absolutely essential for people, absolutely vital.
I think the thing that's got me over the whole of this, and been directing the operations in the centre, that's been part of my remit, if you like, as a director, along with the manager. And what's got me is that the whole system has failed the communities. Social work has virtually closed down. I mean, I asked in June of last year. So, I mean, last year in June, I asked, were we getting referrals? No. Why weren't we getting referrals? Well, you know, there's nobody needing anything, but you're keeping telling us that people are in dire need in the community. That was what we were being told. Then we got...
Oh, sorry, but it's very hard to press my button, but if somebody said that to me, because I know so well that is absolutely not the fact.
Really, the need would be greater.
No,
well, that's what
greater.
The media was telling us that. Everybody was telling us that. But no, as far as social work was concerned, there was no greater need out there in the community than what had been before. What they were dealing with was people being discharged from hospital. That's what they were dealing with. The amount of people coming out of hospital. They were not looking for any other cases out in the community. We got a listing for the local area, and you know, every one of the centres got that, a listing dated in October, with a number of people that could have had some assistance from the day centres. Well, we knew about half of them already, and we were giving them assistance. So that list was a waste of time. Since October, we've had no more people identified and referred to the centre. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I think that there is a big issue that social workers have been working from home. That certainly being involved with community resilience, that the whole thing via the council contact centre has not been working. We've heard about people ourselves, but not from the contact centre. People who are still being supported by volunteers who have been waiting on social work assessment since last March. You know, that the actual statutory sector is struggling. And then I think some of the things about the way that the community services, East Lothian Council, want to go forward with day centres, that they haven't upped the funding, looking towards tendering of services. I just feel very, very concerned about the whole direction of East Lothian Council and the relationship of East Lothian Council social work with the community it represents.
Yeah. I mean, the one of the things you're saying about the social work working at home, but there was nothing to stop the social work going out into the community, identifying people through the GPs and various other organizations dealing with people, and to make an assessment if somebody did something. For goodness sake, we were working with people in their homes, you know. So what was the bigger risk? You know, we were working daily day with people in their own homes. It was not a case of, we didn't go to the door and knock on the door and stand there and speak to somebody. We were actually going into the homes, and we had no problem whatsoever, you know, in the whole year that we've been doing it.
But largely the statutory sector have not been doing that.
No, of course they haven't.
The statutory sector have been failing the people of East Lothian, full stop.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bone of contention as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure, Anne, you feel the same. I mean, it's crazy. That's the services. We're charities. We're operating as charities as much as we can. All right, funded through to a certain extent with the local authorities, but they have to play their part as well. It's not just us.
I'm interested in what you said about the contact centres. Is that the central number that you used to be able to phone? The reason I'm asking is I know a carer who is really struggling, and when she phoned social work about an assessment or reassessment, was told by the person at the end of the phone that, oh, you won't get that. That only happens if you're going into a home. Now, that is just nonsense. But I couldn't understand why that was said. But it may be that if calls are being diverted to whoever's available, I don't know how the system's actually working. If they're being diverted to whoever's available, the person who's available may simply not have the knowledge.
Yeah, there is a big issue with the contact centre when we set up Resilience last year, that in Dunbar we were getting referrals for people from Duns. And we were saying to the contact centre, these people are in Borders. Oh, but you are Dunbar. No, you know, these are in Duns. No, Duns is Scottish Borders. They didn't even have the basic geography of the area.
Well, that kind of explains, because I know that it was a few years ago now when I had to contact that main number. The person was excellent and put me to absolutely the right, older persons department, and was passed then on properly. I mean, I was just shocked that this person was told that nonsense.
But that is correct. That's not the first time I've heard that, Anne. I've heard that be saying, but they're not ready to go into a home, so we're not concerned about it. But anybody can refer anybody to a day centre. It doesn't need to be social work. It doesn't need to be a GP. It can be a neighbour. It can be anybody. You can refer somebody to a day centre if you wanted to, Anne. If you were concerned about anybody in the community could refer somebody. That's not to say they'll get to the day centre, because we make an assessment, and if they're suitable for the centre, they'll get a place. If they're not suitable for a centre, then we'll pass them to who we think would be better to support them.
Right.
But it is this gatekeeping by the contact centre who might not be aware of where the day centres are. We've got now in some places we've got the link workers attached to the surgeries, but they need to know about the services that are out there. The ones that we've got now in Dunbar aren't from Dunbar, and that North Berwick, the tender wasn't picked up. So as yet they haven't got the link workers.
Well, I think it's my understanding, Jackie, is that North Berwick does have a link worker now. I mean, its contract has gone to a Glasgow company that is doing both North Berwick, as I understand it, Gullen as well. So there is a link worker there. They went to tender in January. It was delayed in North Berwick. I mean, I know that. But they went to tender to get somebody to become the link worker. in January, and I think they're in place now. My understanding is, because I've given my manager permission to get in touch with the GP surgery to find out who that link worker is, so they can have a talk to let them know what exactly the day centre can and cannot do.
Yeah, because one of the issues we had here was that they didn't really know how many places there were at the day centre, and just basic knowledge of what day centres could offer.
But that's somebody coming in as a link worker and not doing their groundwork. These people have to do their groundwork when they come in.
Yeah, which was my frustration, because I actually applied for the job in Dunbar, but I think I was knocked out because of my age.
Well, I mean, we had an organisation that did exactly what link workers do in North Berwick, but they couldn't tender because they weren't registered as a charity and didn't have their own financial accounts at that point in time. So they were knocked out of it, and they would have been ideal. It didn't matter whether they were not registered as a charity or not, because they were already doing the work. And we had trialled it for 2 years. We know the problems that were associated with community connections. And you'll know about Mayor, because, we trialled it for a period, and then we set it up, and it's now set up as a charity and running. And the link worker will not do any better than that. And I can assure you that.
But and I think that's one of the concerns about, if the whole day service situation goes to competitive tendering, as East Lothian Council and Christine Johnson are talking about, that it might go, that if they go for the person who's offering the cheapest, it might not be the best.
Yeah, well, I mean, that as in all tenders, that comes down to quality control. And if you don't have any quality control, it doesn't matter. But the facts and the figures will spell for themselves, because if you don't support the elderly people, as we know in care homes and things like that, they go downhill very quickly.
Yeah.
I know, just from Sue's briefly talked about on her agendas, connecting further with link workers at the moment to have closer conversations. So I know that that's on her agenda. I don't know much myself about that field.
Yeah, so the link worker's not new. The link worker has been trialled. It was trialled by Strive in the very early days, about 5 years ago, and run for about a couple of years in the west of the county. I'm not exactly sure, but there was a couple of GP practices over there, and it was trialled. And they should have learned a lot of lessons from it. And I don't think they did, because I went to a meeting in Haddington about link workers nearly about 18 months ago. And quite honestly, it was very evident that they hadn't learned any lessons from the trials that were being run.
Yeah, that's definite, Ian. I'd agree.
Well, that doesn't sound very positive, but we'll see what Sue can get out of the conversation.
Yeah, certainly in Dunbar, when they employ somebody from Edinburgh who doesn't drive to be a link worker for a rural community with no buses, to see how long they last. And they came to a meeting and said, "Oh, there's real issues about transport connections," and we all thought, yeah. We've been telling East Lothian that for the last 20 years.
I mean, I think, sorry, Mayor.
No, on you go, Ian.
I mean, I think there is a huge problem, and it came out in the independent review of social work, is that, the government over a number of years have been pushing support for those people coming out of hospitals, older people and things like that, out into the community. And unfortunately, they haven't advanced anything in the community. They've just expected the community to support them with the resources they already had, and using more and more volunteers, which, to be quite honest, there comes a point when there aren't enough volunteers to go around. And they're expecting people to pick up all the pieces, and the communities to pick up all the pieces. And we're beyond that point. I mean, this independent review of social care and what they've come out with and the recommendations for that would make your hair stand on end. You know, is it going to make a difference to the people at the coal face, all the people that need the support, and not if the way they're going to do it, and they won't have the money to actually do it. What they need to have the money is at the coal face with all the care workers and things like that to be paid and trained properly. That's what they really need. That's where it's not another organisation to sit alongside the NHS. That's not the answer to it. And I was really disappointed in the end of the day when Brian Feely came out with that as a recommendation. There's a lot of good recommendations in it, but to make a ex-government body to try and run something like that and take it away from the local contacts is just not the way to do it, in my opinion, anyway.
No, I'd agree in that the whole centralisation of it, that, you know, some interesting things in there about giving a better voice to, you know, to unpaid carers. But, you know, it's putting in ideas, but without those ideas actually having the funding, you know, what's the point, you know? And I, as a member of the Association of Social Workers, very concerned about the potential for weakening the role of professional social work. And social work as a profession wasn't even involved in the actual review. You know, they didn't have a place at the table. And so certainly SASWA, very, very concerned, you know, and these ideas of, oh yes, let's have, you know, a legal right to respite. But if you haven't got the staff to assess services and funding to pay for respite, well, what's the point? You know, it's just toothless.
Yeah. Sorry, Anne, we're talking
No,
here.
it's fine. It's very interesting listening to. I did listen to the chap Feely on a presentation, and he himself, I was quite personally just impressed me.
Mm.
But you know, I think partly as well, he was trying to say that this is just the first step. I don't know enough to say whether I think a national organisation, you know, running like NHS would actually make any difference.
No,
Yeah.
certainly.
I think it, as always, it'll come down to money in the end of the
Yeah,
day, and I don't think any government will be able to afford it, and that includes what they're trying to do in England as well. They're trying to sort of bolster the social work in England as well, and do health and social care joint up. We've a long way to go yet before you know it's going to be right, and money is going to be the thing that determines a lot of it again.
Yeah, I do think that you know, from the little I've learned over the last few years, that one of the key things to me seems to be to have well-trained carers who are earning a decent wage.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself would probably make quite a difference.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do that. I mean, it's certainly one thing in the day centres when we set up the Association of Day Centres, we set about to set the standard for the staff's qualifications, and minimum was SVQ2, but we would encourage people to progress to SVQ3 because it makes a big difference. Those at SVQ2 are good. There's nothing wrong with them. But 3 just makes that huge bit of difference because there's a bit of extra understanding there and empathy with the members that they're supporting and everything else, and a lot more knowledge. I mean, we have just launched a training package. It's an e-learning package to all the centres, which covers nearly all things you could think about. 33 different modules in it, and it goes from osteoporosis to anaphylactic shocks, to the standard things that the social, the day centre workers actually use. All that is all covered now, which give them a standard to work to, and they've always worked to a fairly high standard anyway. And we always set the standard that it had to be SVQ2 minimum before they could actually operate properly in a centre.
Yeah.
That sounds brilliant. The training pack.
Yeah, it's a well recognised package. It's a what they call Learn Pro. It's a licensed package, and a lot of the NHS hospitals download various packages on it. Some of them more in hospitals scenarios than it is in day centre, but a lot of the thing is very good. So we're working to the same standard across the board, so that it's not all, as I keep talking about, a lottery game. Or a postcode lottery. It is the same for everybody. They're all getting to the same amount of training, so they should be able to put that into practice on the same levels.
That sounds really positive. I mean, just with training in general, we were talking about training with dementia awareness training in towns, and Outside the Box we were working with have just got funding to do, I can't remember, it's a town in the Borders, funding to train every single person in the town to have a dementia awareness training from the children up until whatever age. So that's something that we're really keen to try and do now. I know Sue does a lot of training for dementia awareness, but in and around East Lothian, to make sure that that's available and people know that it's there. If they,
we have a module which is
general.
Yeah, we have a module which is dementia awareness, but we've also run courses in East Lothian for the day centres. One is meaningful activities for people with dementia, and the other one was dementia awareness, a 2-day course. We run that as well, and we had ambassadors, but as happens, staff change and move away, things like that. So I think we've got 1 ambassador left now out of 4. But Sue has been doing some of our training as well, which is absolutely essential. I mean, our staff, very good as they are, and they understand dementia, that little bit of raising the level that bit further for them to understand it even more, and to understand, the biggest thing is to understand people's different mood swings in dementia, and how they're controlled depending on the type of dementia they've got, so that you can see the different reactions. And one of the big problems that we encountered in the day centres was when they did our registration on the data and inspection by the Care Inspectorate, we were being judged on people who were in care homes. So it was under the auspices of care homes they were judging us. They have now written a Care Inspectorate manual on day services, I have to say, and that was during or as a part of our inspection. And they have to realize that in day centres, you don't see somebody 24/7, and you're not being handed from night shift staff to day shift staff and being told, oh, so-and-so has had a bad night or something like that. We don't know what somebody's had a bad night or not had a bad night until they arrive in the day centre, and then we've got to judge as to why they're in a foul mood or upset or whatever it may be. So that might take you an hour or even a half hour out of somebody's first visit into the day centre for that particular day. It's not a simple task. And I have a lot of admiration for our staff that operate in that sort of environment, because you don't know. I mean, that person only comes in maybe twice in the week. You might see them on a Monday and you might see them then on a Friday. A lot of things change in between for varying reasons, home situations, just even down the street and something's upset somebody. So, it's not a simple job. I'm going to have to go in a minute or so. Sorry, Maya. Can I ask you to send me some of those links and some of the things you were talking about, please, especially in relation to the singing. That would be very useful if you can send me that. It's great and nice to talk to you, and I hope I can link into one of these sessions again. Great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll send over the information for the next sessions as well.
Lovely.
But yeah,
Okay,
there's
that'll be
definitely
great. Nice to see you again, Anne.
Okay.
You take care.
Nice to
Cheers,
see you.
Jackie.
Thanks very much. Thank
Not
you.
at all. Take care.
We're
Yeah.
coming up for the hour.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Disappointing, the attendance, Maya.
Yeah, I know. I think it's the evenings aren't. I know it's great for you know, I know, Anne, that you can't make the morning ones, but the morning ones seem to be more accessible for a lot of people. I think as well, because we've kind of come to the sort of transition stage where I think a lot of people have sort of voiced a lot of the things that they wanted to voice. So we are going to be running these catch-ups now monthly rather than bi-weekly, just to give us a bit more time to try and work on the things that we want to give time to, because it's just myself and Sue on a couple of days a week. So trying to just kind of give us some more time for that. So it's going to be every third Thursday from here and at 10:30. But I do know that if you want to feed things in or arrange another meeting at a better time, then we can always do that as well. It's very flexible, but the sort of planned meetings will be every third Thursday at 10:30 a.m.
Yeah, and Jill and I have had a quick chat with Helen.
I was going to ask, yeah, she got to you.
Yes.
Was it a productive conversation? Did you manage to?
Unfortunately, a bit caught up with some events in Dunbar, but we're planning to take things forward.
Perfect. That's good. And Anne,
Thank you.
I was going to ask you if there was anything from the carers group that you wanted to share, or anything
other than, you know, what I said earlier about one of the carers getting told that from whoever she contacted in social work. I was just absolutely gobsmacked by it. And, you know, to hear that the story is that there isn't an increased need is just nonsense. Somebody is not in touch with reality.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like it's just the work's just being, you know, they're trying to ignore what's actually needed.
You know, I'd rather people were even upfront and said, look, at the moment we haven't the capacity because we're trying to deal with all the COVID issues. I would kind of understand that, but anyway.
No, to dismiss somebody that's clearly needing help is not good.
Yeah, I know. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Maya.
No, thank you. And I think Sue's kind of following up with our discussion that we had before as well. I know she was going to set something else up, so I'm sure we'll speak about that again soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
Bye, Jackie.
Right, bye.
Thanks, Jackie.
Yep, take care.
Nice to see you. Cheers. Bye.